Welcome back here to Mountain Connections. One of our favorite things to do on this Business Wednesday is focus on self-made entrepreneurs, and my next guest is definitely a self-made entrepreneur. He's turned his marketing company into a very successful marketing platform, and he is also a sales coaching consultant and award-winning sales strategist. His name is Mr. Ben Buckwalter. How are you doing, Mr. Buckwalter?
Good, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for making the trip from St. Louis here to Park City. We
Absolutely.
hope you enjoying it here.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get into marketing, and how did you get to where you are today?
Sure, so a bit of a background story. So I would say, let's recap back to a young age. Okay, so from a young age, I always, growing up in small Midwest town, everything was very conservative, frugal, penny pinch, you know, almost kind of surrounded by a resentment of wealth mentality. I did not like that. I would go around telling everybody I was going to be a millionaire by 30 and, and all of this stuff. And I remember one day being in class, and I think my third grade teacher, we're learning about history or whatever it was, and I raised my hand and I say, when do they start teaching us what to do if we want to be president one day or if we want to own a business one day? And her response was, Ben, you need to be realistic. We teach you how to be realistic here. That's not realistic. And so from a young age, I hated that word and everything it had to do with. I've got on one side, I've got everybody telling me as a little kid that I can be anything that I want to be, but then there's this other side of it, well, you can be anything you want to be as long as it falls in what we call realistic.
In these parameters
in
of what
these
you can be.
Yes.
Which is interesting because we're all taught from a young age, we're sold the American dream, which is if you work hard enough, if you put your mind to something, you can do anything that you want to do.
Right.
And you can be anyone who you want to be. But it is interesting that when you do hit the reality of that, you do have a lot of pushback.
Yes,
right? You'd think that everyone would be supportive of your goal if you have this ambitious goal.
Yes.
But in reality, people start to tell you, no, that's not possible.
Nope, you're right. And so that was just engraved in my mind from a young age. I was going to be different, but I didn't know how.
Interesting.
Had the vision, I wanted to be different, didn't have the vehicle yet. So after high school, I have my first job. I'm shoveling dirt in the hot sun all day long. Hated it, right? And one of my buddies told me about a call center that was selling insurance, and it had air conditioning. All I had to hear was air conditioning.
Air conditioning
sold.
Yes,
that's right. I didn't need to hear anything else. Air conditioning, I'm there. So I got there, call center, selling insurance. The first several calls go as expected, hang-ups, don't call me again. But then, I remember looking around the room, and all my coworkers are so distressed. And it wasn't bothering me at all. And then, a couple more phone calls go on, and finally, I was able to keep somebody on the phone a little bit longer, resolve some objections, and I got my first yes. It hit me right there. That first yes meant that more money was going to be added to my paycheck, okay? Shoveling dirt harder and faster, there was no reward.
There was no reward, exactly.
I was still gonna get paid the same. With sales, my direct output had a direct correlation on my income and my paycheck, and that's where what I call my love affair and obsession with sales was born that
So that's where the little glimmer in your eye happened, and you realized and you learned about commission, right?
Yes,
and so that's fantastic.
That's where it started. That's where my obsession with sales began. So then I began devouring everything that had to do with sales. I'm from the Midwest. I had a chance to start an agrochemical business. Okay, and so I took I took my sales process. I developed what is called the infinity sales method, and that is what I teach.
And this is kind of your trademark in the sense that this is your methodology.
Yes.
So let's learn a little bit more about what this sales method is all about. Why does it differ from existing sales methods?
So the infinity sales method, what's cool about it is it'll differentiate from each person, but it helps each person find their exact proven sales process that they can use over and over again every single time. Because the biggest disconnect when I sit down with individuals, teams, companies, is one, they don't have the proper mindset. They lack the mindset. They're not even sold on themselves. And if you're not sold on yourself, how can you sell a product or service? But the other thing is they have no type of set in stone process, okay? They're just throwing everything at the wall and they're waiting to see what sticks. And even if something does stick, they don't know what it was because there's no process.
It's hard to discern what that is.
Exactly.
It's just scattered all on there, which is very interesting because someone who's learned sales and has even done door-to-door myself in the past, you're taught adaptability is key, right? To be able to adapt to every individual customer. But I like what you're saying with this method is yes, you still have the individual approach with the individual customer's needs.
Right.
But ultimately, you have kind of a set parameter, a set kind of skeleton for what you need to accomplish before you head into that, which kind of gives you a leg up before you even get into that conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a process from, it takes with everything from the initial, before they even know your name, the prospect, all the way up until getting the yes. And the other thing with the Infinity sales method, which differentiates it from anything else, is we teach you how to get a yes over and over and over, not just from new customers, but from existing and previous customers
And this
as well.
can be some of the hardest things that people don't realize is, yes, you can turn a new customer, but how good are you at keeping your customers?
Yes, exactly.
That is really, that's the challenge, is making sure that your customers are going to, one, be sold the first time, but how are you going to ensure that they're going to be sold the second, third, fourth, fifth times as well?
Absolutely.
So that's very, very important there. So where can people learn about this method? How can they get their hands on it?
benbuckwalter.com is the website, and then make sure to follow me on Instagram as well. My handle is the Ben Buckwalter, just the first last name Ben Buckwalter.
Ben Buckwalter, and very interesting stuff there, and really it seems like the kind of whole message of you is don't take no for an answer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, really keep your goals set and focus on one thing, and you're going to have a lot of naysayers in your life, but ultimately just to keep focused.
What I say is fail faster. If you haven't, you need to fail faster, because the greatest people, any of the greatest people in history, the most successful, they'll tell you that they failed faster. They're willing to take risks, they found a vision, and they went head on and didn't stop.
And not being afraid to fail is an important thing as well. You know, you got to understand and approach failure as something that you're going to learn from, not something that's going to set you back. Is the key.
Absolutely.
Again, your social media, and one more time for your website, so people can.
benbuckwalter.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ben. I really,
so
really appreciate it. Very nice to meet you. You can find out more information at benbuckwalter.com, or you can follow him on Instagram at @thebenbuckwalter. You can find out great information about the Infinity sales method and all about him there as well. Thank you so very much for keeping tuned here to Park City Television as well as Mountain Connections, and thanks again to our guest, Mr. Ben Buckwalter. We'll be right back with much more.